in this second quarter.
Missed by Walker. Rebound by Adams, his sixth. Morant blows by Primo. Attack! Holy cow! That is unbelievable!
Looks and looks. Bounces to Kelly Olynyk. Here's the shot. It's down! Pistons win! Pistons win! Kelly Olynyk with the gamer. And this losing streak has ended against Charlotte.
He's not even looking at Monte. Monte, you was my teammate, you would have to pay for this. Cause ain't no way you gonna blow that down. That pass was just sick right there.
Is that your?
Yeah, that was my dime of the week, Andrew. You got another dime for us?
Yeah, so this is gonna be my dime of the week. This is a play. I guess you could say this is what's Harden's second game since he got traded back to Philly. What stood out in this play to me? So everyone's been so focused on Harden and being the pick and roll, and Harden's playmaking right here is just ridiculous. So you got Embiid, comes up and sets the screen. Harden comes around, and then if you watch, you got Dribble out here in the corner, just laying around the baseline,
close to the dunker spot.
Close to the dunker spot. Of course, the defense is gonna shade to Embiid's side as well as he starts to roll, and you got Tobias over here, you got Maxey, both going to be wide open for shots. If you watch, as Harden's coming, you see Randall. He kind of looks over to the corner. Literally looks over to the wing. Yep. And right when he looks, Harden fakes to them, and then he hits Stable, cutting right behind him. Oh,
and
got him froze.
And those subtle movement of your eyes or head movements that move the defender, and that create another window for the pass. He got to Thibault right there.
That's what separates little nuances like that is what separates some of the elite playmakers, like the CP3s, the LeBrons, the Hardens, the Jokic. Just go on the line. Those guys know how to not just pass the ball and manipulate defenses, but they know they're thinking ahead, right?
Exactly.
They're thinking. They're not just reacting. They're thinking one step ahead of the defense. And so those are things that, to me, one of the things about playmaking when it comes to basketball is it's so. I feel like it's one of the hardest things you can teach. A lot of players, I feel like you just have it or you don't have it. You can improve your ball handling to some degree. You can improve your passing to some degree, but that creativity of just knowing how to get it's something just I feel like when you start playing basketball, you either develop it naturally or you don't develop it. And I'm talking about the elite level, because of course anybody can go from a subpar passer to average or decent, or but just look at
it's kind of like an IQ for the game. Yeah, it's your intelligence and your IQ is just something you got or you don't.
So what's your offensive play of the week?
Oh man, it's a good one. So my offensive play actually came.
I'm tripping.
Yeah, my offensive play actually came from Luka. And here it is. So, started.
Oh, snap.
I want to pause it right here. Yeah, this against my boys right here. So, what I really like about this play, shout out to J Kidd, by the way. He knows how the Lakers prefer to play defense. And it's harder without AD on the floor, but you got somebody in LeBron who can control and what's the word I'm looking for? Like facilitate the defense, and I want to say facilitate, kind of like lead the defense.
Okay, like direct the defense,
yeah,
basically.
And I honestly think in the NBA, having a good rim protector and having a good help defender and like a baseline type defender is more important than having a good on-ball defender. Now, on-ball defense is extremely important. Don't get me wrong, but like obviously LeBron is a better on-ball defender than Westbrook, but Luka, he's a great offensive player anyway, so he can take pretty much anybody, like the best perimeter defender one-on-one, and he could come out on top. But the fact that he brought LeBron out for the switch leaves the Lakers rim protection and baseline and help defense without their leader. That's why Rudy Gobert, Mutombo, Ben Wallace, a lot of these big men and centers finish as Defensive Player of the Year, because everything, like Draymond, everything is run. You gotta protect the paint first. So if you're going one-on-one against Westbrook, if Luka's going one-on-one against Westbrook, LeBron can direct Stanley to help, and LeBron can cover two passing lanes at once, and he can get out to the shooter if the ball goes there. He can intercept a pass because he's just so smart of a player. But the fact that Luka brought LeBron out, you don't have that player to direct the defense. LeBron has to worry about Luka, who has the ball. So when the play happens, Luka, you get playing against LeBron one-on-one. LeBron, he's keeping pace with him. He didn't bite on the head fake. Luka goes for the shot. No other help defense is there. LeBron gets a good contest. Luka just makes it. And I think Dallas would live with that rather than LeBron operating from the back, him sending help and covering two lanes, and the ball getting in the hands of somebody else other than Luka. And I think that's the better option for Dallas.
One of the things you reminded me of
for that position.
You were talking about this as well, though. So, like, one of the things you reminded me of is that there's a lot of people, like, there's always this misconception to me when people talk about elite wing defenders or lockdown defenders. They're usually talking about perimeter guys. But especially in the NBA, but in general, it's always been the case. Team defense is really what it's about more than anything, right? You could have an elite wing defender and a terrible defense, right? And they could be doing a fantastic job on ball, but it's so hard to guard some of these great players one-on-one. And exactly. I think a lot of people kind of undersell just how important rim protection is, because if you look at it in the same way that, like, I think it's kind of funny how this is kind of like a dichotomy in a way. So an elite perimeter offensive player, like a superstar offensive player, can by themselves raise a team's offense to like top 10, right? You could take a LeBron, you could take a Harden, you could take a Steph Curry, you could take a lot of these guys, these elite perimeter offensive players, put them on a team, and with some decent quality talent, they could raise a team's offense to like a top 10 offense, right? Because their offensive capability is that great, and they have the ability to not just play with others, but make others better, right? Yeah. An offensive player can do that. A perimeter defensive player, you put them on a random NBA team, they're not going to make that team's defense top 10, right? But if you flip it the other way, you take an elite rim protector, like an elite like a Rudy Gobert, you take like one of those elite top flight interior defenders. You could put them on an NBA team, and they will raise that team's defense to top 10. And they can do that. They have that type of impact. And so
it was evident this year. I saw Utah. They played against Well, I don't speak exactly who they played against, but they played a few games without Rudy Gobert, and you saw with Gobert it's like a top 5 defense, top 10 at the worst. They played some games like Rudy Gobert. They were the worst defense in the league in that stretch because he covers so much ground. He isn't, of course, Rudy Gobert has some of his flaws, but like protecting the rim, covering up ground, helping and recovering. You can guard the pick and roll. He can guard the drop coverage, get back to the man for the lob, the cutters. Like he does so much for that defense. It's crazy. And people say, "Oh, why he got so many defensive player of the years?" Is because of that specific reason right there.
Yeah, and it's easy to hate on Gobert. People like to pick on like the less versatile big guys or less mobile big guys that have more of an old school type of defensive game. But if you really think about it, there's a reason why their teams regularly rank so high defensively. It's because stopping easy buckets in the paint, stopping layups is always going to be valuable more than anything, right? On defense, right? You could be able to switch and guard 3s, 4s, and guard point guards, but if you don't have that back end defense, you don't have somebody to stop. Like when you get because
it still can be reps.
It's not going to matter.
Yeah, no, you're right, and I think that's we'll get into that later. I think that's what got the Lakers really struggling on defense. But
yeah,
what's your offensive player of the week?
But my offensive play of the week is from that man John Morant, who has been. Well, we're gonna get into that a little bit later. But this is just ridiculous to me. This is one of those plays like a video game type of play to me. But it's a video. It's what's crazy about it. It's a video type of gameplay that you couldn't do in a video game. Isn't it? Like if you really think about it, it's kind of wild like that. But
if you try that 100 times, you'll fail 100 times.
Like I don't even think you could do it. Yeah, literally. I don't think you could. If you pull up 2K. I don't think you could make this play happen in 2K. That's how ridiculous it is. Catches it in the air as he catches it for 4 seconds. Doesn't even come down. Immediately turns, facing the rim, shoots it. Man.
That was sick.
Like the only thing that didn't make that even more hype was that it was just like a halftime buzzer beater shot. If that was like a game winner or some shit, imagine.
Oh my god. You know, I saw a play like that a few years ago. Actually, it was I can't remember who threw it, but it was Tim Hardaway to go to halftime. Actually, he caught it. It was when he was with the Knicks.
In midair.
Yeah, he caught it in midair, and it was counted as a 2. And it was a nice play, but this one was way more crazy. And was kind of slept on. A lot of people not talking about was that pass from Steven Adams, and he's kind of known for throwing some passes like that. He did one like that.
No, he has some good passes.
When they had Dennis Schroeder, and Dennis Schroeder hit a shot to send the game to overtime. He had one like that with the Pelicans last year. I was watching, and just now that play was just nasty. Like the awareness Ja had to throw it up while he's in midair, the body control, that was sweet.
Yeah, like and the angle too, like to catch it from like the baseline and do that. That's just tough. But anyway, so what's your defensive play of the week?
Defense, ooh. All right, so my defensive play is gonna come from a rookie, actually. It's my boy Herb Jones out there in New Orleans. So started this play.
Okay.
Book, he bringing it up on Herb. They without Chris Paul, so D Book, he got a lot of the point guard responsibilities. I don't think they had campaign either. And see Herb, he almost gets a steal right there. He's fighting hard with Book, harassing him. Then bite on the pump fake. Takes Book around. Book got it back. Fought over the screen. The ball went to Mikal Bridges, who picked up by another good defender, Tony Snell, and that led to a travel. I really like this play because Herb, he's really slept on as a rookie. He gives New Orleans great minutes on defense, and his offense, he isn't like a liability offensively either. Like, he's left-handed, but he's athletic. He can shoot the ball a little. And, you know, the way he's disciplined on defense, he has long arms.
Nah, this was just relentless. Like the way he was fighting over the screens.
Fighting over the screens.
Like
he's physical, but he isn't fouling. And he has his head up. He's watching the hips. He isn't watching the ball. And that's what makes you a great perimeter defender. I think he's just gonna get even better and better. And that was very crucial to their big win out there in Phoenix. I know they didn't have Chris Paul, but that still was a big win over the number 1 seed in the West.
No, for sure. That was some Marcus Smart-esque type defense right there.
Mm-hmm. That's what Patrick Beverly think he be doing.
Yeah. Hey, there was a time when Pat Beverly really did do that.
Nah, he did. he's still kind of tenacious defensively. I'm not gonna hold.
I mean, yeah. Now he's mostly antics a little, but yeah, he's still a good defender. I mean, he be flopping way more than ever though now.
Oh yeah.
So my defensive player. Yeah, my defensive player of the week is gonna be from this Bulls Miami Heat game. And then Kobe White gets the ball. PJ's on Kobe. They force the switch. Bam now switches on to Kobe. And then you got PJ going with Vooch. All right. Bam keeping pace with him. And then Kobe kind of tries to get by him. PJ's there to kind of pick him up. And then Bam recovers back. Breaks up the lob. Just like seeing this whole thing all together is just breaks up that. But then what made this even greater, so it's still 4 seconds on the shot clock. They played 20 seconds of great defense.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't over yet though. All right. Now peep what's gonna happen right here. Give me that. Great. Just like focused right there, intensity by Bam, man. Ridiculous. Gets the ball back.
Yeah.
And he blocks a shot. So he blocks it twice, basically. in one possession, blocks him twice on 2 separate occasions. Just awesome play.
That dude just a beast. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Double Dribble Podcast with Drew and Destin. I'm Destin.
I'm Drew. And also,
today,
I gotta.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
Gotta show you another shirt I got. My new shirt.
Let me see.
Do you remember this moment?
Oh, yep. That's the squabble. Right before the squabble. That was a little closer in. So Rondo, and I'm a Lakers fan. Rondo slickly, very, very slickly. He spit in Chris Paul's face. Chris Paul put his finger in his eye, and then it went crazy after that. Whole squad. I'm watching the game. I'm like, they fighting. I see Brandon Ingram come in. He threw up haymaker. God, dog. Thank everybody for watching our previous episode 1. Today we'll be going over our plays of the week. As you may have just saw, our players of the week. We're going with the awards race and have some takes at the end. All right, so we'll get right into it. Our players of the week. My player of the week is going to come from the East. And my player of the week isn't the person who I think is playing like the best basketball, but just a player I've enjoyed watching And this is a player that I like to shout out. I don't think enough people are talking about, and that is Tyrese Maxey. This past week, he just got a new teammate with Harden, and I guess a few people had some questions about how he was gonna play because Harden is gonna take some touches away. But watching him this past week, you can just see he plays the game so freely, and he plays the game with joy, and he's making the best of his opportunity. He's not just because he's a young guard and he's improving. He's not begging for. He's not complaining about getting touches because he's playing with just a better player. Instead, he's filling in a certain role, and it's working out great.
One of the things that I don't know if you peeped this, there was I think it was the game against the Knicks, the second game, where he did like a step back three, like a Harden type step back three, and Harden was like looking at him, and when he had the ball, Harden was like pointing at him, like on the court, like he was right there, he was pointing at him, and he did it, and he was like, you could tell it like almost like he's taking up after him in a way or something, because he even they had like a post game presser, and they were asking him about that play, and he was saying how Harden was encouraging him to like use his speed because he's so fast to like to incorporate that into a step back, and then when he did that, he said he asked him so are you gonna play tonight? You gonna show up? You gonna play tonight? And so
because he only had that was a good quote because Tyrese said Harden told him, "Are you gonna play tonight?" Because he only had 2 points at halftime in that second Knicks game, and the second half he started to pick it up, specifically in the fourth quarter. Him and Tobias Harris, but mostly him in the fourth quarter, he came alive. Like he was driving to the rim.
Kind of the key for you, your offensive explosion in the second half. Just what kind of got you going?
Oh well, James came up to me and asked me if I was going to play today, and I told him yeah. So it just having guys like James, Joe, Tobias, Spence came up to me, talked to me a little bit too in the back, just saying I got to be aggressive. I can't go stretches like that being passive. I got to help these guys out, and we got to help these guys out as a team as much as possible.
Some step back threes. He hit a shot at the buzzer when there was nobody to pass it to, and I was just really impressed by him this week. The play that really stood out to me was a play he had in Minnesota when Harden was dribbling. He was going ISO with Karl-Anthony Towns, and D'Angelo Russell was kind of shading over because he didn't want, Harden had the mismatch on the big man. And Harden saw that. He passed to Tyrese. Instead of Tyrese just taking the three, I believe the defense wanted him to, even though he's capable of making that shot. This dude first step is crazy. Like, within a blur, he was at the rim and he finished. And that game, he finished.
My nickname for Tyrese Maxey is Sonic Max.
Sonic Max.
Because man be moving like a little hedgehog, man. I swear. But and also like his personality, he's got like a really likable personality. Like if you like watch anytime like he's doing an interview or just even on the court, he's it's one of those players that you can't help but root for, right?
Yeah.
Like you just want to see him do well because you could tell he genuinely loves the game. He loves playing basketball.
He does.
He just wants to get better. And like he's not he's just very unique personality as a player. And normally like that's not something that you're focusing on when you're just talking about basketball players, but like he just like it stands out immediately. Like very, very likable dude. And so yeah, definitely easy to root for.
That's what really caught my eye. But another thing that caught my eye this week, he was really good pressuring the defender who was bringing the ball up the court. Like he got his hands on some steals, like some pickpockets, and like he can play. He can play off the ball. He can play on the ball. And go ahead.
Oh no! You actually just reminded me of something. Like watching him play, he is also like a tryhard for real. You watch him, and it's a good compliment, obviously. But
yeah, he's
relentless.
relentless
On both ends, he is constantly doing the most. Like he is chasing this. Yeah, he's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
He's
constantly
young.
moving on offense.
He got everything to prove, and yeah, it was great. Like this week, he
reminds me of like one of those players. Like, oh my bad. No, he reminds me of one of those players that like, if you ever playing like, you ever like run into games with random people that you don't really know.
Oh my god!
And there's that one dude that just refuses to like. That's constantly moving
calm down.
Just will not stop running. Like will not stop running around.
Like calm down, bro. But like on the court, like playing pickup, that's kind of too much. But in the league, when you're trying to make a name for yourself, when you're trying to
absolutely
you gotta do that. And he finished this week. He averaged 24.6 as the third option. Like that's crazy. 24.6 points per game, 64% from the field, 64% from three, and 2 steals a game. Now that was just 3 games, but that was this past week, and that's the third option. If he's giving you that in Philly, this is only his second year, and I think that was one of the reasons why I think both teams fared well from that trade, but Philly definitely were winners. They both were winners, but Philly was a winner because of course they got Harden, but to keep somebody young like Maxey, Thibault too, but somebody like Maxey who was just only his second year, he's improving like this. Like that was very huge. And giving you 2 steals, 64% from the field, 64% from 3, 24.5 points per game. As a third option, you can't beat that.
Talking about his improvement, one of the things that was interesting to me as well is like, and it's kind of funny when you think about Ben Simmons, because Ben Simmons just refused to ever take 3-point shots. It wasn't even like whether or not he could improve his 3-point shot. It's like whether or not he would even attempt his 3-point shots, right? Tyrese Maxey, like when he came out of Kentucky, he wasn't a good 3-point shooter. Like I think he was like sub 30% when he got drafted.
He wasn't great last year.
And then his last year he was like 29 or 30% last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then what happened? He went into off season. He worked all off season. He's talking about how much work he put in. Worked on his jump shot. Came out this year. He's shooting 40% from 3 right now in his second year. 40%. That's like, that is like work ethic right there. That is a ridiculous
dedication.
Has been in the gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's huge right there.
All right, you got a player of the week.
All right, so my player of the week, and also probably an MVP candidate right now. Probably answering into, I don't know, we're gonna see top 4 maybe.
Yeah, we're gonna get 5. To that.
But
for sure,
Ja Morant.
We're gonna get to that.
Yeah, Ja. He's been going crazy right now. I feel like over the last 5 games, he's averaging 40 points. He averaging 45 and 5, shooting 40% from 3, and not on a small volume too. He's shooting a decent amount for him, 6 a game. He's shooting 50, 40, 80, averaging 40 points. Dropped 52 and 46 points as well in back-to-back games. Ridiculous, man.
I think he had 38 last night too in Boston.
Yeah, he had 38 against Boston. Yeah, they lost that game, but man has been on a tear. And he's on another level right now. Like I was kind of hesitant. He's one of those players like I thought he was going to be a good player. I thought he has all-star potential.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty strong. I didn't feel like he was going to become a superstar. He is. I don't want to say for sure, but he's right on the cusp of like he's probably a superstar now. He's right there, and so I got to see him do it probably a little bit longer. Maybe I want to see how the season plays out. But now like he's exceeding his potential to me.
And this is like it's hard to not make this comparison. And their games are a little different, a little alike. But it's hard to not make this comparison between him and Derrick Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're both in the third season. I'm talking about Derrick Rose when he won his first MVP. Well, his only MVP. When he won MVP. They both were in their third seasons, had breakout years, led their teams to the top of their conference. I think the Bulls had the number 1 seed. Grizzlies, they like a half game out of the second seed right now. So who knows? They maybe can't capture number one, but just breaking they were good players. They could develop into something, but just like this, the switch he hit this year was just crazy, and it started from game one, when the season started, and like they both super athletic. You can't stop them from getting to the rim. They can hit their free throws, but Ja, just early this year, he's a better shooter than Derrick Rose, I would say. I think he still has room to improve his shot, but you can't just leave him.
He's like 34%, I think, this year. But he's still like he'll have those stretches where he'll be hitting, he'll be on fire. And I don't think that Rose was like that good of a shooter at this point at the same time of his career as well either. So
yeah, but
I heard a lot of people making like Westbrook comparisons with Ja when he was first coming out.
When he was first coming out, they may have been looking at the athleticism, but this dude, he's just he's a freak, and he's very fun to watch. I just hope people don't get like fatigue of watching great play and great performances and his athleticism, because I can watch his highlights forever. All right, so now we're going to get started with our picks so far this season in the awards race. We're going to start with the Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think a lot of people are talking about Defensive Player of the Year this
you want to know why? We know why.
About this season. How come?
We know. It's because just I mean, a lot of people probably feel like it's the same dude that we've seen up here multiple years before, and it's kind of boring because it's not as interesting. It's not as close of a contest. Like, there's not really a lot of debate because of multiple reasons.
I really don't care, to be honest. Like, I'm not the type of people like, oh man, he gets it every year. Well, I mean, so he holds the defense together every year. And I think it's between three people actually right now. And that's going to be Rudy Gobert, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I have Bam Adebayo. And if I had to choose one, I'll probably go Bam. Because though Bam isn't such a great rim protector as Rudy Gobert and Giannis to a lesser degree, but Giannis to a really good rim protector. But he, out of those two players, he is the most switchable of the three. He can switch out to the perimeter, pick up a guard, pick up a wing. He's strong enough to handle you in the post. He has great position and great defensive IQ. He can block shots. And Miami, they're always going to be a pretty good defensive team because they have Eric Spoelstra as a coach, and they have help on the perimeter with Jimmy Butler, PJ Tucker, Cody Martin. He does pretty good, but yeah, having Bam back there and Miami, they're like the number one seed right now. He's been a force on that end, and I think he was in the final ranking for Defensive Player of the Year last year, and he's been hooping on that end. I think Rudy Gobert, he missed fair share of games. Giannis, he's been there, but I just feel like Bam has been holding Miami's defense together a lot of these nights, and he can play the pick and the roll. It's been great to watch. So from a Defensive Player of the Year, I got Bam.
So to be honest, I want Bam probably to win it out of all the candidates that are in the running this year. He's the guy that I think he was most deserving actually a couple years ago, and when he didn't get it, I think that when Giannis got it, I actually really thought that I thought he should have got it that year because that was he was tremendous, and he was reliable. I think he played like almost the entirety of that season as well. This year, I feel like I gotta go with Gobert again, unfortunately. Not to say unfortunately.
I mean,
but,
hey,
yeah, I mean he's having probably the best year of his career. I think he's leading the league in rebounding right now too. Right?
yeah,
And Bam also missed a good amount of time this year. I think he missed like 5 or 6 weeks. He had that. I think it was like a wrist fracture or something like that. He had some kind of injury. I think it was it was a wrist fracture or finger. I think he like broke a finger or broke something with his hand. But yeah, and when Bam was out, the Heat still stayed in a pretty good position. They obviously they're better with him. There's no doubt. That's undeniable. We've seen what he can do. His versatility is amazing. But the fact that they were still able to stay up that high, I feel like I have to lean with Rudy Gobert, because we've seen really, I don't know how many years it's been now, but when Gobert misses time, that team
defense
struggles tremendously. Like,
I feel you.
They just nothing they can do about it. Like if you go look at I think probably I don't know if you go back the last 3, maybe 4 seasons, when he misses time, it's not even just that they their defense falls off, but they lose games. They lose, their record is significantly worse. Mm-hmm. And then they can't overcome it with more offense or with Donovan Mitchell trying to carry the load. Their team success is so tied to Rudy Gobert's defense. And we see that kind of unravel in a way in the playoffs, because his defense is a little bit more exploitable against some of the better teams that have, superstar
like bigger wings.
Players.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's so great for them, especially in the regular season when you're playing all these different teams every single night. But when you get into a series, that's kind of where we see some of his limitations. And it doesn't mean that he's not great. He's still great, but it's just it's kind of a part. It has a bit to do with their team construction. They probably do need some more I guess when it comes to the playoff time, they do need some more versatility, and they don't really have it.
They definitely do, because they pretty much play one way offensively, and that kind of what hurts them. And then when you go against the bigger, more versatile players in the playoffs, like Utah, they good to win the playoff to win the playoff series, but you get deeper in, you go against better talent, more physical players. They always struggle. But as for this season, that's a great pick, Rudy Gobert. I think he's a better defender than Bam, but
it's a prototypical pick.
Yeah, but I think my pick for Bam, it was kind of more based off what he can do and where Miami is. They sitting at number 1, and he's they rely on their defense for their success, and he's the best defensive player on the team. So that kind of what led to my Bam pick. But Rudy Gobert, that's never a bad pick. All right, so we'll move on to rookie of the year.
And just so I can be clear, I would rather, when it comes to playoff time, I'd rather have Bam than Rudy Gobert.
Agreed.
Keep that a buck.
Playoffs. Uh-huh.
I would rather have Bam than Rudy.
These are regular season awards. I really think
that is true. It's a regular season award. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
I got you. So we're gonna move on to our rookie of the year so far. There's been some really impressive rookies this year. And I'm getting to. There are 3 guys and 1 honorable mention that I want to talk about real quick for Rookie of the Year. My 3 are Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, and Cade Cunningham. An honorable mention. Damn, there are a few honorable mentions, I ain't gonna lie. And I'm gonna say them all because this is our podcast and we can do this. My 3 honorable mentions are Josh Giddey, Herb Jones out of New Orleans, and Ayo Dosunmu. Those 3 rookies are extremely slept on. Specifically, Ayo Dosunmu. I may want to mention that because that's my guy, but he stepped up with Lonzo and Caruso missing time because Lonzo and Caruso are like really the Bulls' defense, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, and Patrick Williams are out, but like Lonzo Caruso, I think those are first team, second team quality defenders, and having a rookie step in and play the type of defense he plays, and he's giving you something on the offensive end. He's giving you some playmaking some nights. He's playing his hometown. He's been the beast. Josh Giddey, who's just a triple-double threat every night. Extremely fun player to watch. He's gonna be a force for real. And Herb Jones out of New Orleans, he starts a team trying to make the playoffs. They made some moves to make the playoffs, and he gets after it defensively. Like he's definitely gonna be a all defensive player at some point in his career, maybe even next season. He's a beast. Like how people was talking about Matisse Thybulle when he came in, that's kind of how Herb Jones is. But he can give you some offense as well. Now, onto my picks. Man, these some great rookies. Scotty Barnes, Evan Mobley, and Cade. If I had to choose one, though, Rookie of the Year, I got to go with Evan Mobley. Because Evan Mobley is a beast on defense. Like, this dude is special. Like, he has, like, long arms. He can defend on the perimeter. He's 7 feet. And he'll swat your shot if you come in the paint. And
one of the things I love also is he doesn't bite for a lot of these pump fakes, a lot of these.
Yes, he is very smart.
Very disciplined, yeah.
He has great defensive IQ. And he's very raw offensively, but he is a good finisher when he's in the paint. He can, catch the lob, and he has good hands, and he's working on his shot. But the way he plays defensively and the way he helps anchor their defense for Cleveland, who's a surprise team. All these three players, Cade, Scotty Barnes, they're having great seasons. I love watching Cade play. I watch a lot of his games. But Cleveland, they have one of the best records in the East. They're like a top 4 seed, and they beat Philly right now as we recording. And just watching him hoop and the way he helps them on both ends of the floor. He's a really good passer as well. He's an underrated passer. People don't really speak on that, but he just has great IQ, specifically on the defensive end, and he's what led Cleveland to about to make the playoffs. I don't think a lot of people picked him to make the playoffs, especially be this high of a seed. So I got to go with Evan Mobley right now.
All right, so I'm going to actually have to co-sign. I do agree. I've watched a ton of Evan Mobley this year.
What?
And, probably my probably my third or fourth most watched player this year. And the reason for that is because
I'm pretty shocked.
But yeah, the reason for that is so I had a take before the season, before he got drafted. Mm-hmm. So I'll be very specific about my take. I thought that his ceiling would be, and it's funny that we mentioned this player. I said at best he'd be a Bam Adebayo level player, right? And but I don't. But my other feeling was that I don't believe that he would actually reach that potential, right? I don't see I didn't see superstar potential in him. So I'm going to say, and I still don't. I'm going to say without a doubt, I don't buy into that he's going to be the next AD or he's going to be the next Chris Bosh or anything like that. But he is an elite defender as a rookie out of the gate, no question. And just that aspect alone of his game makes him outshine all the other rookies. Because none of the other rookies are truly elite at anything yet. Cade has shown a lot of promise. We know he has the potential. I do think that Cade will become a better player than Evan Mobley. But as far as starting out his career in the NBA, Evan Mobley has something that has an immediate effect, right? It's something that like if you're good at, it'll translate right away, right? Yeah. And yeah, he's also in a great situation too. So we could talk about like they're winning, and he is contributing to that. Like I would say he's probably the third best player on that team. But yeah, like it's in a situation where his strengths defensively are highlighted and his weaknesses are kind of minimized, and he has made the most of that situation, and I give him all the credit for what he's doing out of the gate. But my take is still correct, or hasn't been proven wrong yet. Because
he hasn't been proven wrong yet.
All right. Because I actually I didn't question his defense coming. I thought he was going to be a really good defender. I question his offensive game, and I still need to see a lot from him there. But if we're talking about comparing him to other rookies, there's been a lot of rookies that haven't been performing consistently, and what he's done on the defense side of the ball has been consistent pretty much all year. Like he rarely makes a lot of defensive mistakes. He might get out-muscled occasionally or like outworked on the glass and things like that, but he's usually in the right position, and he usually doesn't make stupid like fouls and things like
rookie
that.
mistakes.
He doesn't make rookie mistakes, and that's and he's a rookie, so that's a huge thing. And obviously, like my dude Jalen, no, he's not even close. He's not even sniffing.
Yeah.
It's not
I think he's shown some flashes, and I don't think it's much to just harp on like, oh man, he sucks.
Yeah,
now he's showing flashes, and that's kind of what being a rookie is about, like showing flashes.
He's shown like moments of like, oh, like this is what he could be if he became a star. One of the things I would say is I'm on the lookout for as well is Anthony Edwards, his rookie year before the All-Star break, very similar to Jalen Green's rookie year. If you go look at their numbers were almost identical, right?
And you know what's great to look at after the All-Star break, Jalen Green has been playing great ball.
And Anthony Edwards, post All-Star break, he had a huge run. Like a lot of people thought he was rookie of the year after that. Yeah. LaMelo ended up getting it, and I think LaMelo deserved it because LaMelo was doing it.
He got hurt. I think he had a wrist injury,
but he was more consistent from the jump. Like he was playing well for most of the year. Anthony Edwards started to get it going post All-Star break, and he had a really nice finish to the season. Jalen Green, if you go look at the past month, like month of February, he actually was playing really good. And now he's leading that into continuing post All-Star break. I have a feeling that we could see a similar situation, not that he's going to come anywhere close to Rookie of the Year, but where we see that progress as he goes into the last quarter of the season where he's like, oh man, like the end of the season, he was putting up what? Okay. And like, and now we're looking at Anthony Edwards this year. So it's like, but yeah, I agree. Evan Mobley should be unanimous Rookie of the Year, at least at this point. We'll see what happens. I don't know if he can actually be caught by anybody. Like Cade Cunningham, we have to do something really special these last 2 weeks of the season or last couple months. But yeah, Evan Mobley for sure.
All right. So we're gonna move ahead and start talking about our sixth man of the year. For my sixth man, this isn't really hard for me, and that is Tyler Hero from Miami. He helps them a lot. He's really there. They're going off the bench. I mean, they have some guys come off the bench who can play good minutes. But I think how much Tyler Hero gives him? Like he had 20 a game with 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 20 a game off the bench, and they're the number 1 seed. I don't think it's much to talk about from there. He's been hooping, and this is a big season from him though because they were one of the teams that went all the way during the bubble season, and then it was a short turnaround, and he didn't have the greatest season last year, but he got the off season off.
Yeah, he was.
And
they were
people was talking about
him all last year.
Yeah, it was like, he's bubble boy, all that. And then he come out this year from the jump too. Giving you 20 a game off the bench. Like that's some great ball right there. He's just a bucket. And I don't see. I mean, JC in Utah, he's been good, but I don't think he hasn't been as good as Tyler Hero. So he's definitely my pick. But
I also agree. Yeah, this is a co-sign for me as well. I mean, I think this is actually probably less close than even Rookie of the Year. Like he's just been compared to last year. Like last year, he had a huge step back, and like his numbers weren't even really that bad if you look at it. But like he was just so inconsistent last year. That was the thing. Like he would have games where he'd be hitting, but it was like night and day. Now this year he's been on a tear, like almost like you can count on him, which a lot of people probably didn't expect going into the season. That like he'd be that reliable of a player. In some
Miami,
of these games, like
Miami counts on him to produce, like off the bench. Like he's a very like pivotal part of their team.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, I mean, like a lot of games, like everyone looks at Jimmy Butler as the best player on the team, and he's like the guy that they go to. But there's a lot of games where he's not really like getting the most touches, or even like necessarily they're it's like Tyler Hero's like leading them in a lot of these games, and it's like, and that's very
leading them
interesting
in shots, too.
Yeah, and he's off the bench. I mean, like there's not really any strong case. He probably even had a little bit of argument for like being in the most improved discussion, to be honest, as well. But not like, I agree. Tyler Hero, 6 Man of the Year. I think that he's a shoo-in. I don't really see anybody else like having a chance to get it from this year.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the most improved player of the year, and this is a really good race. I don't think it's just one player there's like you can definitively say this is the most improved player.
And I think that there's I think this is an award that there's always like, there's always good candidates you could probably point to, right?
Yeah.
But this year especially, this year's it's wild.
So some people that I have are Miles Bridges from the Hornets, Desmond Bain, and I have Anthony Simons out of Portland. And they both have all three have taken great leaps from last year to this year. At one point, people were talking about Miles Bridges potentially being an all-star earlier in the year. Desmond Bain, he just turned into a bucket getter for Memphis, I think he may be second in scoring on the team. I don't know, but he's giving you like 17 a game. And Anthony Simons, I thought even before Dame got hurt, you can notice his improvement, his efficiency increase from last year. And once Dame got hurt and CJ got traded, man, this dude took off. But if I had to choose one out of the three, man, I'll probably go with Anthony Simons. Because I kind of, with Miles Bridges, you kind of expected him to improve, especially because he's in a contract year. And like he's shown flashes of improving every year since he was drafted. So I don't really know if I would really choose him. Desmond Bain, he's been extreme. He surprised a lot of people, including me. But the fact that he's like he kind of playing behind Ja, and he took over the role, I think, of Brooks. But he's kind of playing behind Ja and Jaren Jackson Jr. He improved a lot, but I don't know. It's like like the third best guy on the team, I don't know if I necessarily choose him. With Anthony Simons, he kind of became Portland's number one guy. When Dame has been out, he's been that dude over there. And he could not produce great and nobody would really care. Or he can take off like he did. Like the opportunity presented himself. Like I said, even before Dame or CJ left, before Dame got hurt or CJ left, he already started to show improvement. And once Dame, he's been out this extended period of time, he been giving it to whoever on the other side of the court. Like he could give you 30. I think a few games he had 40, and he came up late in the race. I don't think he was up there in the race to start the season, but the way he's just been playing, it's hard for me to not just go with him.
So yeah, for me it was and I think Anthony Simons, yeah, I think he's definitely a strong candidate. I think a lot of it as well, like him, he's like always like since he's been drafted, he's been a really good shooter, and now he's gotten to show more of his game, getting more playing time. With all the injuries they've had on that roster, he's been able to like show his complete ability to like scoring. He has a really underrated offensive bag, I want to say.
He do.
But
and you can tell he's kind of getting some of his game from Dame too. You can kind of see it when Dame being out.
And I feel like I haven't seen a lot of people talk about him as for most improved, which is kind of wild to me because I feel like he should be like one of the obvious candidates. But
yeah,
I think that for me it came down to Darius Garland or DeJounte Murray, both first-time All-Stars this year. But I feel for me, I'm going with Darius just because of how great the Cavs have been, and not just that they've been playing so well, but he's been like their perimeter offense for most this year.
Yeah,
right? Like he's been
missing Colin Sexton a lot.
Colin Sexton been out. Rubio was very big for them early on. Rubio got hurt. He's been extremely consistent, and he's been one of the most efficient players, one of the most efficient guards in the league this year. And for a young player, what is he, like third year in the league now? To be that efficient that early on, that's tremendous. What is he like?
I think it may be his
48.
Fourth, yeah.
Yeah, shooting 48, 38, and 90 basically from the free throw line. And 28 and 3? And like he's only 22 years old? Nah, man, like
Nah, he's very enjoyable to watch. That's for sure. Like he has the ball on the string, he can pull from deep. He's a great passer. I think it was at one point he almost broke one of LeBron's records in Cleveland, but I think he got hurt that game. But nah, that's a great pick. But there's Garland. I kind of considered him, but I was just maybe I don't know. That's a really good pick though, for sure. Darius is a beast. All right, so next we have the coach of the year, and my coach of the year.
We'll see if we agree on this one. We might, but let's see.
My coach of the year has to be Taylor Jenkins. And
I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna stop you before. I'm gonna let you go, of course. But I'm just gonna say I agree. Taylor Jenkins. But I want to hear your reasons, and then I also have some other thoughts on some other candidates. But yeah, I agree. Taylor Jenkins.
Yeah, Taylor Jenkins, man. He's a beast out there in Memphis, because they actually, it's not just Ja out there. And what's really impressive to me is that statistically they are a better team when the games Ja misses. Like Ja, he's missed a few games this year, and it's like they don't miss a beat. They still play great basketball. They've been missing who I thought was the second best player in Brooks for a large portion of the year, and he's playing with he's coaching a lot of young players right now. And, people didn't expect Memphis to be this great. but he's
Absolutely
been doing
not.
it.
Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
and
Nice.
Memphis can, with the Chris Paul injury, Memphis can probably catch the number 1 seed, and that's crazy to think about. An honorable mention I want to give to JB Bickerstaff out in Cleveland, because Cleveland, people didn't expect Cleveland to be this good either, and they're a little similar because they got young talent.
Mhm.
And they got a few vets over there too, but they've been rocking.
Grizzlies are what? Even better record. What the Grizzlies like?
Yeah, even better record. They've been sensational out there. And another honorable mention I want to give to Billy Donovan in Chicago, because Chicago, I think they're like the 2nd seed right now in the East, but they were like one of the worst teams. Now they did rebuild the roster, but you still got to have somebody to orchestrate that and put people in the right positions to succeed. And I think it was some questions about having DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine on the same team, but he's found a way to put them in the right position to succeed. DeRozan's been the bees, LaVine's been the bees, and Vucevic been up and down, but he's been using like rookies. They had a lot of COVID situations going on, and people just didn't expect him to be that good. So give a shout out to Billy Donovan, but yeah, definitely Taylor Jenkins for my pick for Coach of the Year.
All right,
I know you agree, so you may have some honorable mentions.
Yeah, I agree with Taylor Jenkins, primarily because that team is just so young. Like, they have so many young guys, and then they have a top 10 defense, top 10 offense in the league, which is ridiculous with like that many guys that are. And they have like most of their guys are like 25 and younger on that team, especially like the guys that are really playing a lot of minutes, and for them to be that consistent throughout the year, that has to be coaching. You have to credit, like, there's no question. Like you got Ja's only 22, Desmond Bain's 23, Dylan Brooks, who's been out for most of the year, he's 26, Jaren Jackson 22. Like, so many young guys, man. The oldest dude on the team is Steven Adams, and and Steven Adams is actually not even that old. He's only 28. Like, a lot of people probably think Steven Adams has been in the league for so long. Most people probably think he after
28. That's prime years right there.
Right? Don't you think like you? I could have sworn that Steven Adams was past 30 at this point. No, man.
No, I'll say he's about 30. I would say he's 30 if you had just asked me. I didn't know he was 28. Dang.
Yeah, and he's the oldest player on the team. Like,
wow.
By far, like the next player is
scary because they're only going to get better.
Exactly. I kind of mentioned earlier that in our last episode that I thought they were pretenders, and that is because of age. I still stand by that. I still think that they are pretenders, but everything else, if it wasn't for like my reason, it has to do with their youth and inexperience. But everything else kind of screams contender. It's just that one big issue for me that, and I'm just leaning on history. It just never seems to work out. But,
I feel that the history aspect of it, but I think the only if the West was like, the West is extremely top heavy this year. If the West was like crazy deep like the East, I probably would label them as pretenders. But they're only, I think Memphis at this point, there's only 2 teams for them to really worry about, and those teams have their issues right now. With Book is out right now only due to COVID protocol, but Chris Paul's hand injury, and Golden State has been, people not talking about this a lot. Golden State have been as bad as the Lakers when they haven't had Draymond. Draymond is extremely important to them, and like, let's say if Memphis can get the number 1 seed, with Golden State and Phoenix having their issues with health, and those teams may have to go battle each other out. Memphis could be waiting in the Western Conference Finals, something like that. So they are a really good team, and shout out to Taylor Jenkins for orchestrating that.
One thing I will say though, so even though like I agree with you, I got Taylor Jenkins, that would be my vote. That's who I think should get the award this year. Who do I think will get the award? Not Taylor Jenkins. I think Monty Williams is going to get the award. The only because he didn't get it last year and he came in second, and this year they're far and away the number one seed right now. I don't. I think a lot of it depends on also how they played during the stretch without Chris Paul, and they've been decent enough. Like they haven't been struggling or losing a bunch of games or anything like that. So if they maintain the position and lock up that one seed, I think that he's going to get the award. I think that if they somehow go on like a bad losing streak without Chris Paul and they start to struggle, then we could see a situation where maybe Tara Jenkins could get the award, or maybe even JB Bickerstaff get the award. But I think right now, I think it's his award to lose, and I think that he's gonna get it most likely. Even if they kind of struggle a little bit, as long as they lock up that one seed, I think that he's gonna get the award.
Yeah, Monty. I mean, he's a great coach. I want to see. They weren't really a surprise to me. I guess that's the only thing. But I don't want to underrate his coaching because from where they were.
I mean, yeah. They were surprised in a kind of way. Like, I mean, I don't think most people had them as the number one seed, or being the number one seed maybe far and away like this. Like they've been like they're clearly like. What are they, like 6-7 games up? I think, and on the Warriors,
they like 7.5 on the Warriors, and Grizzlies are half game behind Golden State. So, but I think it's kind of it may be like last year how they gave it to Tom Thibodeau, how he got the Knicks to host the playoff series, and they were a surprise, just like Memphis is a surprise this year. So. It's kind of based off narrative, but I still like Taylor Jenkins though.
No, I think he should get the same. I have a feeling that they're gonna give it to Monty just because he came in second last year, and they have an even better season now. But we shall see what happens, what the voters go with. But
all right.
Anyway,
so this big boy right here, we're gonna move on to the MVP race.
Yes, sir.
This MVP race has been one of the better races that I could think of, really, because it's like five. I want to say it's about 5 legit candidates right now for MVP, and that's my boy Debo out there in Chicago, DeMar DeRozan. You got Embiid, who's been a beast. Giannis, another beast out there in the East. We got 2 in the West as well. Jokic, who's been a monster for Denver without his best 2 players playing great ball all season. And you got Ja Morant, who's just been remarkable, especially as of late. Man, if I had to choose one of those candidates, though, right now, just give him the trophy. I'll probably have to give it to Embiid. I'll give my MVP vote to Embiid if I had one. Hopefully, I have one in the future. We'll see. But I'll give my MVP vote to Embiid. I just feel like the way he's dominated on both ends, leading the league in scoring. I think KD was leading the league in scoring before he got hurt, but Embiid, he's been there, and he's still leading the league in scoring. He's giving you like 11 rebounds a night. He's a beast on the other end. You can't do nothing with him because either you foul him or he misses. You just have to hope that this game that he's going to shoot a lot of mid-range jumpers. But, this is my pick is March 4th at 7:00 p.m. This could change within 2 weeks. That's how close that's how great these players have played, close this race has been. If the Bulls can somehow find a way to beat great teams and the Bulls can finish as the number one seed, he'll have a great case. If the Bucks can reach the number 1 seed, I think Giannis, who started off the season great, but he started to take it to another level. If they can reach the number 1 seed, he have a great case. If the Nuggets can find a way to host a playoff series, because Jokic, he's playing great ball. I think without him on the floor, they're like the worst team in the league. With him on the floor, they're like the best team in the league, like based off net rating. So that speaks to it right there. How valuable he is, and we all know how great Ja has played and led the Grizzlies to an extremely surprising season. He's been a monster. I think he gave me like 27 a game now, and he's been a beast. But if I had to choose one out of those 5 great players, I'll go with Embiid.
So and I will say I agree. I'm going with Embiid, but the MVP is always such a weird or funny award and how it's given out, because we know it's always narrative based. It's always like heavily. It's of course there's like that whole best player on best team thing. We've seen that win it so many years, but there is a huge narrative pushing behind that, especially when it's not that player. Like if there's always a reason that when they don't give it to the best player on the best team, whether it be that player's numbers just aren't up to snuff, or there's guys that are like putting up historic stat lines. Then we see they start looking at the second seeds or the third seeds in a lot of the conferences. Yeah. But I feel like narrative-wise, DeRozan actually, to me, probably had the best case for the MVP award this year. Right? If you just look at like narrative, like you could have made the case that if you were just like looking at it strictly off of narrative and like obviously his numbers too. Actually, so not just narrative and performances and stats. How many crunch time great performances he had this year? Clutch buckets, game winners, where he literally put the team on his back down the stretch and won. Right?
Yeah.
Best performances of his career, and he's been in the league for how many years? Right? This is probably the best season of his life. Like it's probably the best season of his career. Right?
He came in 2009. I think it might be like his third season. Yeah.
And he's having his best season right now after 30. How many injuries have the Bulls dealt with? Zach LaVine's missed time. Caruso's missed time. Lonzo's missed time. And he's still
Patrick Williams.
Yeah, absolutely. And like DeRozan's doing this. And that to me is the only reason why it's working against him. It's because DeRozan has never been a superstar in the league before. He's never been viewed as a superstar. He's always been, a really nice all-star, pretty good player, but he's always been off to the side in that box, like he's not one of those guys. And this year he kind of made people look for a second like, wait, what? DeRozan? Like I thought the Kawhi, like I remember when the Kawhi trade happened years ago, people like dogged DeRozan during that trade. They were like, oh man, they gave up Kawhi for what? I remember people were saying like they traded Kawhi for like a bag of chips. I'm like, damn man, DeRozan just like a bag of chips. Like they didn't even
like DeRozan.
He was killing that man.
He was like the best player on the best team in the East for a couple of years, actually out there in Toronto.
Yeah, they just happened to run into LeBron. They lost the conference finals, but like they had he had a really bad series the second time around. Yeah, and that's what like everyone remembers.
And he was benched and coach ended up getting fired. So it was a lot of.
But if you actually like to me, his story is probably the best story, and his performances to me have been the most like eye popping. Just it's been the most amazing thing.
Like the streak he had with 30 points per game was like ridiculous.
I think it was the best in like Bulls history since Jordan or something like that.
It was Jordan. Mm-hmm.
And so to me, like that's kind of just funny how that works. But I mean, like that's a part of it. Like you gotta kind of get the recognition of being in that class to just even qualify for the award, right? Like it's like if you just pick any random player in the league and they just start throwing up his numbers, they're not gonna get the award, right? You gotta have that built-in like respect, like you got that notoriety of being one of the top guys in the league, and so that's why we see Jokic and Embiid have been in the front of the race all year. Giannis been up there as well. all year, right? But yeah, I think Embiid, barring like some crazy thing happening, like an injury, like please don't let that happen. But injury happens again because last year that happened to him. I think that's the only way he probably will lose it. I think that Giannis is still going to be in the conversation, but I don't think he's going to have a better record. So I think he's going to be out on that. Jokic has a chance. The only thing why I don't say Jokic is because their records are very similar. I want to say the Sixers are like a few games up on them, but as far as seeding goes, I think that the Sixers actually have a legit chance to get the number 1 seed, and I don't think that I know that the Nuggets don't have any chance of doing that, right?
Yeah.
I think the Sixers are like 3 games back, two or 3 games back from the 1 seed. Yeah, and the only thing that I thought could have hurt Embiid's case is the Harden trade, right? And not that like Harden was going to make him play worse or anything, but that he got another player, he got another superstar player. Oh, maybe that whole talk of maybe his numbers are going to go down some. No.
Yeah.
His numbers are only getting better. I mean, we'll see. But at least the first 3 games in,
who he's playing with, yeah,
3 games in, he's not sacrificing anything, right? And he's getting buckets. He's getting easier opportunities. So, and I think that the fact that the media already has that perspective of him being up there, they're not going to penalize him for getting another star player. I think that's not going to matter. And also, like, it's not like Harden is beloved amongst the media anyway. So that's not like they'll probably look at it. It'll probably be in a funny way. It'll probably be a boost to him because they'll be like, damn, he made it work with Harden. Because there's that whole narrative this is not going to be a good fit, or like you can't fit with him or whatever. Like there's a lot of talk about fit when it comes to Harden. And so I think that's going to also help him be like, damn. So he joined up with Harden and he actually got even better. Like he's making this work. Damn, I think that's gonna help his case. And I think the only thing I think that could ruin his MVP case is like an injury. And so we'll see what happens. But Joel Embiid is gonna be on that MVP stand. We're gonna see.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, so about to wrap it up. One take I want to give before we just wrap this up. I want to give a shout out to the Pistons, who ever since like the All-Star break been playing pretty good basketball, and they've been winning. I want to give a shout out to Cade, Jay Grant, Sadiq out there. I watched a few of their games. They've been playing good ball. I'm watching them right now. Playing I just switched the game. Indiana. They up 10 right now. So, I want to give a shout out. People don't really pay attention to Detroit like that. I don't think they should be winning because they like pretty close to like the number 1 seed, and they've been pretty bad all season, but they got some pride out there. And Dwayne Casey, people sleep on how good of a coach he is. So, show some love out there to my boy Cade and the Pistons out there in Detroit.
Okay. So I got a prediction. I'm going to say it's going to be a take that I'm going to have for the rest of the season going into the playoffs.
Let's hear it.
So, the Brooklyn Nets,
Mm-hmm.
if they make the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be one and done. They're going out round 1 if they make the playoffs. Now, this is I think that most
Hot
likely
take right here on the Double Dribble podcast. I think I said this.
I think the most,
but
yeah,
it's pretty
I
interesting.
think most likely they're
from
going to
you.
either going to get we're looking at what? Philly, Milwaukee, no, Miami, Philly, or Milwaukee is probably their most likely get. If they make the playoffs this year, they're probably going to be the 8th seed. They might even have to go through a play-in, right? So they could be one and done in the play-in. I'm not going to go that far and say that because I don't know who they're going to be playing, and I would still probably lean towards Katie getting them out of the play-in game.
It's something to think about, though,
But
playing. It's
something to think about because it could happen. Like we
If
saw,
they are
Curry
the
got-
8th
Curry
seed,
got knocked out of the play. Yeah.
now if they're the 8th seed in the play-in, they will have to play
Toronto?
No, I don't know who they would have to play. I don't know who's
Potentially.
7th, but they would have to play on the road. The first play-in game would have to be on the road, and that would be with Kyrie. But
yeah, so one of the funny things though is that if they do get the Raptors in the play-in, and Raptors are ahead of them right now. Raptors are like 2-3 games up on them. If they get the Raptors in the play-in, Kyrie can't play in that game because Toronto they have the vaccination shit as well. He can't play.
He can't play in Toronto.
No,
Wow.
he cannot play in Toronto. Toronto has the same kind of vaccination thing. It's actually more strict than Brooklyn.
And let's say
he will not be able to play.
And let's say they fall to the 9th seed. They will host a playing game at home, which Kyrie won't be able to play in.
Exactly.
So
they could wind up. It's a double whammy. They could wind up in a play-in situation if they don't lock up if they don't get out of the 8th seed. They could end up in a play-in situation where neither game
will have Kyrie
could play. Yeah, which is
and
why.
then let's say they were to get through that. They have to see Embiid.
So think about that.
Giannis.
They get through that. They could see. Yeah. Even Miami to me would be a bad get for them because
I think so too.
Everybody's healthy. Because even if they're able to get out of that series, and I don't think they would be able to without Kyrie for a full series. But let's say they're able to get out of that series. Miami is one of those teams that when you play them, it's gonna just be like annoying, right? It's gonna be physical. Series is gonna take something out of you, right? That series is gonna have an effect on you going into the next series, right?
Yep.
It's not just gonna be like a quick. Especially KD is going to have to do a lot because it's not going to be easy for him in that series. And Ben Simmons is playing, which you would think he should be playing at that point.
That's what I just want to say is you gotta take into account that KD's just coming back from his injury. They say he's still experiencing some pain. Ben Simmons hasn't yet played. They say he's week to week. They haven't put a timetable on it, and the whole Kyrie thing has been going on all season. So it's dicey, and that's a really good take because it's kind of dicey. It's interesting to see how it all play out.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be a first round exit for the Nets. And there's going to be a lot of talk because they could end up with those are the 3 teams they can get if they make it out of the plan. Like that's going to be interesting. So,
well, we'll see. Well, that's a wrap for episode 2. That was pretty fun. Thank you for everybody who tuned in to episode 2 of the Double Dribble podcast. However it is that you're listening, we'll be back next week. Thanks again, everybody. Peace.
Wow.